Yo, what up, Internet? Welcome to episode 76 of Bricks and Beer, your mom's favorite podcast about Lego and beer. Cheers, everybody. Refreshing. Episode 76. I'm not going to be here very long, and I'll tell you why. So, before we get into that, let's talk about tonight's beer. It's the Klausthaler original. It's from Germany. It's won an award, a World Beer Award for style points, I guess. World's best style winner. It's brewed according to the German beer purity law, so it's allowed to be called beer. But it's okay. It's not bad. Yeah, it's all right. So those more perceptive of you might notice that this is a non-alcoholic beer, and you're like, Andrew, what the fuck, man? Does that even count? It counts enough. So I'll tell you why I'm drinking non-alcoholic beer. Because I'm an old man, and I'm on muscle relaxers because I threw out my back doing innocuous, everyday, normal things, which is kind of the most emasculating thing you can do is like injure yourself just living normal life. I did move like furniture the day before I did it, but yeah, it sucks. So sucks getting old, but you know what doesn't suck? Hanging out with Jeff and talking about some mechs. So here's Jeff. Clink.
Clink, clink, clink. Greetings, Andrew. And greetings, Internet. How are you doing? Welcome to another late night hangout with Jeff. Bricks and tequila style. I'm drinking a fairly standard issue margarita with a dash of Quarantinorita because you know that bottle of margarita mix that's basically lives in your fridge all the time, always? I ditched ours when we moved, and I haven't replaced it yet. Kel Surprise, so, little orange juice, little roses, lime juice. I'm there. The struggle is real. Also, water, because water is life. 9 brick mechs, folks. That is tonight's discussion point. I built a couple. These are exhibition builds. I am one of the judges in Andrew's 9 brick mech contest. Here's what one of the guys looks like. This is called Battle Pod 13. There's 13 on him. And then I just have this other one I call the Blacktron version. Very similar frame. I'm going to go into some detail about these guys later. There was also a third one that I have to say is just an attempt right now. And might become something later. Another visual reference I'm going to hold up is this Zentradi Battle Pod. That's kind of where I was coming from with this because I have a funky history with mechs. And let's talk about that. And I have some notes here. This is how I'm doing this tonight. Let's see. What? Boom. Yeah, this worked kind of like last time. Okay, so what is a mech? I was thinking about this because, I made this thing, right? And I made this thing because of my own weird blocks with mechs. And I decided to start with a thing that just had 2 legs instead of was fully anthropomorphic. Based on that pod thing I just showed you. And right away I'm just sort of like, wow. I mean, mech, I think, is a robotic type thing that is being piloted by a person or an alien or a being or even a smaller robot. But it isn't just a big robot. It's got a pilot. That's a key element. And this looks like exactly that, right? 2-legged robot with guns on it, and some other shit. So does that mean that an ATST from Star Wars is that a mech? Right? I don't know about the one in The Mandalorian because it seemed like that was just sort of like operating on some kind of autopilot, like they had a droid brain in it, and then they just kind of put a red light in the cockpit, right? Like they had like a neon light, like beer ad, space beer, you know? Probably brewed on Corellia where they really need it. Or Hoth where they really, probably like really Tatooine. Yeah, probably a lot of planets in Star Wars have booze. I hope. Because they really, really need it. Poor bastards. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so yeah, sure, maybe an ATSD is a mech. That's fine. It just seems a little weird because I always think of the AT thing in Star Wars, the all-terrain thing, the legs thing, as being sort of a no, fuck wheels. Where's the Star Wars universe? Like almost everything floats or walks. Except for the droids, there's some wheels there, and the sandcrawler, and then later on some other stuff. But so that got me thinking. So if like the legs on an AT-AT or an ATSD are just kind of like wheels, but they still qualify as mechs, I'm like, well, then is a car a mech? Yeah. So is a car a mech, Andrew? Anyway, let's go to my next piece of tape here. I really shouldn't do it this way. I'm just stupid about this whole business. Okay, Mechs are stupid. Exhibit A. Terramander. Okay, look at this beat to shit box that I have. Probably was worth something once. I bought it for where is it? $9.99 at KB Toys. All right, so but look at this ridiculous bullshit. I actually have another one in a different paint scheme, and there's the dude, right? There's a little pilot just inside this head, and he is piloting this whole thing. Is his responsibility, It's got these wings that don't have any flying capability. They're just wings. They're just there, And look at this thing right here. Zoids, the Zoids. Could you imagine like trying to bring something this complicated into battle? I mean, here's the pilot. He's in here. He's lying on his face. Would you want to be crawling on your belly in a thing like this? It's got 8 legs, like any one of which has probably about a dozen components that could fail and just knock the whole operation off kilter. I mean, why a scorpion? Like the scorpion's advantage is it can scurry under rocks, and so you can't scurry under a rock with this thing. This is dumb. And I just think that that's sort of an aspect of it. I imagine a superhero universe sometimes in which have like it's just a known deal. Just the giant robot thing just doesn't work, So anyway, I just had to cover that part, and then I'm gonna cover this part because mechs are awesome. Okay, so look at this. Do you guys know what this is? I bet you do. Now, for me, this is Star Wars. Why? Because it's got this ridiculous configuration of rockets. It's a rocket car, right? With rockets on either side, and then this other one on a big fin. This thing is like right out of Buck Rogers, right? But then they ground in the grittiness until it's so gritty that it looks so real that everybody just looks at it and they instantly were like, oh yeah, that's my fucking thing. I got one of those out on cinder blocks in my yard. Or if you're me and you're 8, you're like, I know a kid who has a thing that looks like that, blah, blah, blah. The kind of romance, the kind of thing that I like is like you sort of ratchet the stupid up from the whole like land speeder, like romance Greeble ratio. Here, look at this. I built this, and this wound up in some Lego Ninjago book. This is death if you bring this into a battle. You have no protection, and you're just being like, yo, I'm over here, Or here, look at this thing. Look how freaking awesome this is. Look at the poetry. I mean, it's a robot scorpion. Every single one of these pieces is just perfect, and it's this blue cyclops thing going on, and it's going on twice. It's going on down here. It's exactly what you want to see. I love this thing. And I love this thing. Every time I pull this out of mothballs, I think I really need to pull this head off somehow. Maybe with the mouth attached, maybe not. It's a whole complicated thing, and make some kind of shuttle out of this because look at that shit. Look how cool that shit is. Like if you were having like some kind of weird sci-fi party with a genuine aliens and it was like a 70s painting that you were in and like this guy showed up, everybody, within a minute, the people out by the pool would be whispering about it. It's like, did he bring his guitar? You know, space pool, space guitar. So yeah, mechs are fucking awesome. Of course, yeah, we all want to pilot a giant robot. I think there's even like a Japanese TV series called like The Kid and His Giant Robot, Johnny Sacco? It's probably called what I said. Right. So I'm kind of here to talk about the fact that, so I had this block with mechs, and part of it was because of the thing I said before about the stupid thing. But the other thing we're going to talk about is barnacle, by which I mean bionicle. And the fact that I get props sometimes for leaving studs on my builds. Pete Abramson, thank you. But I don't think anybody's ever really given me props for having a bunch of throwbots around. But I do. I have a lot of throwbots around. And I haven't done a bunch with these builds that are off the original thing, the original set design. And I don't really aspire to. I'm not one of those guys who's going to take Bionicle parts and make something huge. Like, I'm not doing that kind of AFOL thing. But I'm also not a kid who's like super into them. I like basically kind of trimming them down and I super cherry pick the parts. There will be another episode about that. I'm just into this right now because this is sort of like, for me, substituted for any ambitions I have had about building mechs. It's why I never built like a brick built mech until 2017. Because this, I mean, look at this pose, and this pose is really dynamic, and it's weird because it's the same limb, like it's this exact same limb piece. And the Bionicle, I mean, these Throwbot guys also have this worm gear assembly that looks like a mohawk here. And then also does this weird posing thing. I'm doing it the stupid way. But, if you turn them this way, you can do like this crazy dive. I'm going for it. Wah! Wah! And I found a lot of workability from this ball and socket thing that started with robots. Bionicle obviously eclipsed them super fast, which is fine, but also funny to me because exactly the thing why I was just talking about, the poses, the action poses. That's my next thing, action pose. Action pose. So when I do go into a Bionicle with some sort of deep dive that's going to make everybody sick, I will bring this up again. But compared to that thing I was just showing you with this guy, with his 90-degree knee bend and 90-degree elbow bend, because it's the same piece, and what you have available. So here's the limb that was made popular by the first generation of Bionicle dudes. It's this lime green thing, right? And look at that angle. That's not 90 degrees. That's way less or bigger or something. And it's got one really good pose, and it's like this. It's the pose. It's this guy. And I'll be talking about this dude in a moment, but it's the same exact pose, ready for action. It's gonna be something else, right? But try to make a run. This is like A-list Bionicle. This is the first wave with the masks, and everything's great. But look at this pose. Whoa! Like there's nothing available here in your imagination that doesn't have just poppies down here, like he just doesn't look like he's in a battle or in a race or anything important. It's just kind of like it's not dynamic. It's just like it's a big fail. Anyway, I think that's interesting. Here's one of my favorite examples of wicked good posability that's available. And this guy's fun in this pose because he can actually stand up independent of any. Let's see, can I do it? You know, he's mostly a set, or maybe with like 2 or 3 sets combined. It's a bunch of Hero Factory stuff with this modular clickety clack armor business. And I made him look like he's sort of a wrestler, like he's got a unitard and boots on, you know, and he's got this green skin, but he has these transparent things on his forearms, which could be like a shield or also like a, you know, weapon maybe, who knows. But no swords or anything. I just like this guy, like tough dude. Lots of great poses, like the one I just had him in, really. And also, at this point in their thing, you could just make a really good looking robot with a thing on his back, and it's just so easy. So that's what I tend to do when I do mechs. Like when there were Throwbot parts around, I was making things like this. This is the same frame as this. This is the first one I made, much more abstract. I think there's an interface with this Technic brick down here, and then that's how everything gets involved with the system dudes. This is the same frame, but I'm not doing anything with the limbs. That doesn't come. I mean, that's a little bit of a tweak right there, but it's the same stuff that you would have gotten into a set, and it's the same scale. I wasn't even really interested in going that much bigger. And then the Hero Factory stuff came out too, and I've found a way to really cheaply, and by cheaply I mean like aesthetically cheaply, like it's kind of bogus. He's parked on a couple jumpers in there. There's no room for any controls or anything, but it doesn't matter. You can't see his arms, right? It's all about the romance, just the idea. Like, how cool would it be to actually have like a tiny head and a giant robot body? That is spray painted, that thing. Another variation, same thing. This is actually my favorite of these like sort of Hero Factory things that I've done. So it brings us to, am I there? I think I'm there. 9 brick mech. Oh, I'm not there yet. Wait a second. There's some stuff I should have grabbed up from there. Anyway, okay, in 2017, Andrew and the boys helped me build this guy, brick built mech. Okay. There's a whole episode where I go into this, especially about his feet and getting a lot of crap from the boys about his feet, So, 9 brick mech. One of the things I find frustrating about the mech frames for the minifigures is the lack of knee joints. This is me this is a work in progress, trying to expand the joint range of the Mr. Freeze mech from the Lego Batman movie set. I shouldn't even try to. This is dumb holding this thing up. This thing looks dumb because it's completely incomplete. This is just me trying to figure out how much movement I want to get all the poses I want. And I find 9 brick mechs and anything in that size uber challenging because it's all taps and T-bars, dynamite bars, and various snot bricks. And you repose them, you basically have to rebuild them. And that's been the deal with these guys. These little stacks of 1x1s with little bars coming off them are not nice joints. You move them back and forth and they start disassembling themselves and wada wada wada. Things fall apart. Right. So I spent a lot of time. So I made ball and socket based mechs, and I didn't brick build them. I did make robots though. I like making brick built robots. And that guy looks like smart, right? Classy, And these guys, I made a bunch of these dudes. I have a problem. This piece never really works anywhere, so I made these they're just like courier robots. They just like, zzz. I have some information for you. Or here's another really minimalistic thing. Just because I had those legs. I had that configuration of mismatched legs, so I made a little robot. Love making robots. But only started making brick-built mechs about 3 years ago. Have I driven that point home? So I was going to go to Andrew's Instagram and just copy one of his mech frames with the taps and the snot bricks. But then I thought of this foot configuration, and then I thought of this double pin thigh configuration, and I thought I'd give it a try. And it worked out pretty well. This is fairly minimal. One of the things I really dig about it is where the legs connect up here. Oops, that's not a thing I dig. The thing that just fell off, I do not dig. This enables a swivel right there, just like down this way. Now, obviously, from what I was saying before, I don't think bothering with realism with your mechs is really all that important, but that is a cool thing. You would want that if you were trying to drive this thing, because otherwise you could only go in one direction. But more than that, it's a pose thing. It's an action pose. You get a little bit more character, even if you just knock those knees together a little bit. It's a more interesting pose. And this is I don't even know exactly what to call this. It's like a dog leg configuration, like the back leg on a dog, just like that. And after I got this one done, I decided to make the Blacktron one. And I thought, oh, this will be super duper easy because I'll just use the same parts. But it turns out friction pins are useless for this relationship. And this friction pin is totally spinny spin. It's not doing anything. I did cut some ribbed tube here to cover up the gray, because Blacktron. I do like this detail because it looks like he's wearing like Chuck Taylors. And nope, this little 1x1 with a clip. Down the bottom here, that guy, that little 1x1 tile, okay, that's on one of those 1x1s with a clip. Goes like this. In this one, I decided just to make it a bitty little detail, but on the Blacktron one, as I was messing around with some trans yellow cheese slopes up top, to be the cockpit, I wanted some meat in between those four guns, so I swung that same piece up inside and realized, oh, you know what? Blacktron doesn't care about the comfort or the safety of its employees. It would just park the cockpit right in the middle of the guns. Who cares about the noise? Oh, shit, see? The legs are super flimsy on this one. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Other detail I will point out are these doobie frassers, which are lipsticks, black lipsticks. I did point the pointy ends out first, but even in black, they looked like lipsticks, so I shot them down. Now, I posted these to the chat to the boys. I put them on Instagram, and Andrew had suggested that I make one that had little claws coming down. So I decided to use the longer pins for the thighs. And I also decided to kind of tweak the dog leg thing so the knees were actually in front this time, which meant this thing was going to be like all knees. But you can see I put the claws on it, which meant I was already going for some weird alien thing. This was going to be like the weird kind of War of the Worlds thing. Like Andrew had suggested, claws down the bottom, right? Like down here, like menacing a little trophy scale guy. Anyway, I haven't gotten this to work. I don't know where this is going. It's practically 9 bricks like this. I mean, obviously, if you straighten the legs out on any of the things I've built, it would blow the size requirement. But rule 0, bitches. And I haven't gotten the balance right. So I cheated. I remembered I had this guy over here. That's what happens when you cheat. I feel like there should be music playing right now. Okay. Yeah, part of the problem with the really compact build that I have going on BattlePod 13 is that this 2x2 is linking into the part of this wedge piece that doesn't really have super clutch. So you're seeing a thing that happens a lot. There we go. But look, it's got little claws down the bottom, dudes. 9 brick mechs. I'm having a really fun time with it. I'm throwing shade at mechs because it's funny, I'm hoping. But I'm also trying to say this is like the way I used to be about them, and I'm really sort of digging them now. And I'm really looking forward to getting into some more kind of like traditional, not I want to say Gundam style per se, but anime stuff in different shapes, you know, with arms and legs and little heads, little transparent 1x1 plates, you know, where the guys are. But here's something interesting. Something maybe more interesting than our cars mechs, Andrew. Look at this guy. What's that? Well, I don't know, but it's pretty short. It's a mech, right? I thought it'd be funny to have him like carried in. You know, like there's a big audition with all the 9 brick mechs, and they got to do their size comparison thing, and this guy's like, where would you like to put this? Stop right there. You're the one we're looking for. Anyway, I hope you folks are having a good time. I hope that was some fun content. I wanted to show Andrew this turkey part I was showing off before. So I'm going to sign off. And I got to say, though, dude, bro, you got to take a look at this garbage.
Dude, so I kind of hate this part. I love it because it's got things that I like. You know, it's got pistons and detail and stuff. But you know what bums me out is these axle bits here that you can't actually put anything on. Like you can't put any bushings. They were like, let's make it Technic so it'll be in system, but it'll be unusable. So what I've found, that's one of my favorite things to do with this, slide some old tires onto there. So probably the best one to do is this one. It's the Tiny Turbos tire. That one slides real easily over it, but it's kind of loosey goosey. So maybe that's not the best one. You can actually kind of like jam this even further up and stuff. But if you really want to like cuff this, use this one, the thicker one, and it's takes a bit of force. You gotta really jam it on there. But once it's on there, it's pretty good. And then the ball socket's still usable. It does kind of limit the use, but then look, now it's nice and solid. It's good, man. So yeah, thanks for Jeff for hanging out. Talking mechs is always a good time. You guys should definitely build some 9 brick mechs. What are you gonna build? It seems to be there's a little bit of confusion about like the whole 9 brick mech thing. It's 9 bricks tall. It's not 9 bricks total. 9 bricks tall. This is the height. Maximum height. Your mech has to be able to fit in here. It can go as wide out as it wants. This is the height. It can be shorter. It doesn't have to go all the way. So, just for clarity's sake. Also, I mean, my intent was for these to be microscale, so that's the pilot. It seems that some people get that, some people don't. We'll see. But so far, it's great. We're getting a lot of entries. I'm looking forward to more. Just to kind of, give you something on the way out. Jeff asked a question: are cars mechs? And let me tell you, Jeff. Let me educate you on a bit of pop culture. In 2004, Cartoon Network released a show called Megas XLR, and Megas has a big stupid, awesome robot that has a fucking car for a head, which he pilots with video game skills. So yeah, this is a mech. It's also a car. It counts. There's also Transformers. They're robots in cars. And like, is a robot a mech? I feel like a mech has to be piloted. They could be. What about robots with wheels? Is this a car? Or is this a mech? I don't know. You guys tell me. Build some fucking 9-brick mechs. Be good to yourself. We'll got more episodes coming. I can't kill my liver tonight, but in the future, we'll be back with real beer. And fucking thanks for hanging out. All right. Cheers, everybody. Peace.